you're trying to poach people, or, you're not trying to, because then if you're already coming to it as in a friendly way and manner, then you're going to show that that's also how you're doing business and how you're going to be handling them. Not handling, that's a bad term, but the way you are going to be interacting with them in the future, as opposed to, hey, well, like an Alan, like we all heard the phrases about how lawyers are ambulance chasers. And so you are not that kind, and you're showing them that, no, we are, if you want to, cool. If not, cool. We can still hang out, be friends, whatever.
Yeah, and all we want to do is, like I said a few times on the call, we just want to leave the business better than, when we joined it. And admittedly, I'll still say I'm very new to this, in a matter of years, but I've been around the space long enough to know that, there's so much opportunity, and we just want to help people. That's our goal. It's just to help as many people as possible, to better their lives and break that stigma of, why would we use a wrestler? Because there's a million and one reasons to use them.
That should be most people's mindset, is just to help people be better and just be better people in general.
Yeah, and I'd like to think I can't even tell you like a wrestler that I've ever said is a quote unquote bad person. They're all such incredible people, both as just people in general, but like the skill set they also offer to the world in so many ways. I'm constantly impressed by every person I meet in the space, because they have so much to offer, more than just what meets the eye initially. And I hope that, at some point, everybody that's in this space gets the spotlight they deserve.
I believe that too, and I noticed Mike Bennett is one of your clients as well, and I've had wonderful personal conversations with Mike, and Mike is one of the nicest guys on the planet, and he has gone through so much in his life, with his addiction and his recovery. And now, if you are not following Mike Bennett on Twitter and also LinkedIn, because he'll put his videos on there too,
Yep.
on his Instagram, wherever you can find Mike Bennett, follow him, because he is the most positive person that you could possibly ever meet, and he has so much great wisdom to help other people as well.
I'll let you in on a little secret is that one of the things we really are striving for right now is finding more opportunities for the people we work with to do speaking engagements, whether they're motivational or something along those lines. And Mike Bennett is truly at the top of the list for those things, because of the story he's able to tell and the positivity he brings to the world at this point. I can't say enough good things about him. Maria as well. I think they're a tremendous family. They have, great children. And I think so highly of Mike. And it's just, he's one great example of the greater theme here, which is these people are so much more than what you see on TV every week.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now,
I assumed at some point we were going to talk about alcohol. What's going on here?
I mean, if you want to, yeah. I mean, I have no issue talking about alcohol. Which are you, a wine person, spirits person, or a beer person?
I am much more a spirits person than anything else, specifically whiskey.
Now, whiskey or bourbon, or both?
Anything that falls through the whiskey category, from scotch to bourbon to rye to blends. Yeah, I like it all. And I honestly think a lot of it just comes from the fact that was what was available to me when I was younger, and that's what my dad drank, so that's what I went with.
Now, how do you normally drink it? Are you do it neat, on the rocks, ice ball? Are you a rocks guy? How do you like to do it?
One big rock is always, preferred, but it also depends. Like, I love a good Manhattan. If I'm going out of my way to have a cocktail, it's going to be a Manhattan. If you ask my business partner, he would probably say an old fashioned. But most of the whiskey I drink is either neat or just, one big rock.
Now, let's say if you were to narrow it down to 5, what is your top 5? No actual numbers next to them, just 5 in general.
Yeah.
favorite, like whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, ryes? Which ones do you enjoy?
Blends is, I can just tell you at the top.
Blends, amazing.
Yeah, blends is tremendous. Now going to the bottom of the list, I put Crown Royal on there because truthfully, when I started drinking in college, that was the one for me. I never really left that. It's the most accessible to me, so I'll grab that a lot. Woodford is big. Knob Creek, the Knob Creek Rye specifically is something I really like. And then just when it comes to scotches, I'm not a big Johnny Walker person. Okay. But I do like Macallan, specifically like an older Macallan, something at least 15 years.
Yeah. Now, I think Crown's okay, but I am more, if we're going to do a Canadian whiskey, I enjoy 40 Creek a lot better than Crown Royal myself.
I think a big part of the reason why I like Crown so much is just I started working in a nightclub when I was 19 as an intern in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And one of the things I saw was every bartender that worked at the club would carry their tips out of the the club in a Crown Royal bag. And that stuck with me. So when I first was buying alcohol for myself, I was like, oh, the one that comes with the bag. And it just kind of stuck with me. And
that makes my mom had the same bag that she would carry a lot of stuff for her, and she was a bartender at one time. So I don't know if she got it from that or she was just doing it already.
I mean, I've never asked around, but I feel like that's a thing.
I mean, it just makes sense to give you the bag, so might as well utilize that bag.
It's kind of like, you get a bottle, Louis XIII. You keep the decanter, no matter what.
Oh, like,
it comes with a giant decanter. You may as well keep the decanter.
Also, if you're paying that much for it, you might as well keep something to it.
I got a really funny story about that. My dad, I was in, God, where was I? Oh, it was in India in January for a wedding. And I was coming back, and I was at the airport in France on my layover. And my dad had called me. He's like, hey, I need a bottle of Louis for some event, for some work stuff. And it's a lot cheaper to get to the airport. So I was like, I'll take a look and I'll grab you one and just, reimburse me. So I find it, and they go, well, you're buying the last one. Do you really want to carry this box all through the airport? Or we can just give you this Louis XIII rolling suitcase that came with it for some reason. So they gave it to me in a rolling suitcase that I brought on the plane with me.
Tell me you kept the suitcase that made your dad the bottle.
Oh, no, he kept the suitcase too.
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh, best believe he kept that suitcase. Look, I did not pay for that bottle. You know how much that bottle cost? People whoever's listening to this, which if it's me, if you're listening to me, you tuned out already because why would anybody listen to me this long? But if there is someone listening, they can look up how much this cost. He deserved to keep that suitcase.
Without a doubt. But that is not cheap by any stretch. I would always look just for fun and be like, oh, how much? Oh, no, never mind. Get out of here. Bye-bye.
It's kind of funny that there are some alcohols that just become investment pieces. That's one of them. If you hold on to that for a few years, it's going to appreciate in price. It's no different than a lot of good wines.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So I was in the wine industry for 14 years, and there were so many people that, always look for certain years or certain kind of bottles. And I would go into certain bottle shops, and I would just look, and I'd be like, wow, some of these are, 50, 60 years old. But you've got to maintain that. You can't just, okay, I have this bottle now, and I'll just let it sit here for 40 years, and it'll increase in value. No, you've got to make sure your temperature is good. You've got to make sure that your wine is actually hitting the cork. You got to keep it at a slanted angle, so that way it's not drying out, and so that way the wine itself is not drying out. And so there's a lot of things that people don't think about when it comes to, I'm just going to start collecting wines. Like, nope, you need to really look into that before you think about that.
Oh yeah. And like I'm sure at some point there's a bottle somewhere in my place that I've stored improperly, and when I go to open it, it's going to taste like vinegar, and the price you pay.
Yeah, I think I have a 1.5 that was a 2001 Mendavi cap, and I guarantee you it might be good. It may not, but also I have to open a 1.5 to drink it, so I got to make sure I have other people around just in case it's not good.
When there's a long story behind it, but I had a Magnum bottle of Ace of Spades champagne in my fridge for 4 years. I didn't have a champagne fridge, and you have to store it sideways because the cork will dry out because it's champagne. And it was in my fridge for 4 years, and I never had a celebratory thing because it was right after. I got it at the Super Bowl in 2019, which was in Atlanta. I was going to open it when I graduated from my master's program with a bunch of friends, but then the pandemic happened, so I graduated on a laptop by myself. So I wasn't going to open the bottle then. There was a plan on opening it at WrestleMania when I was working there. Long story short, didn't have the opportunity to do that. It's okay. And then I finally got to crack it open last year when my father was declared cancer free. So in a lot of ways, it was awesome to celebrate that moment with him. But also it was really nice to get that shelf space back because it takes up a lot of space when you're laying it sideways in a fridge.
And then it rolls around whenever people hit it with something, and you are always worrying like, oh, is this going to break? I'm not even sure.
I moved a number of times with this bottle.
Oh, wow.
I still can't believe that it never like cracked or anything.
Now, this isn't my story, but I've heard the story multiple times. When the Mavericks won the championship, I think it was 2008, 2011, anyway, whatever it happened. They all went to the whatever club I think was the nearest. They got the biggest bottle of, I think it's a 3-liter, if not a 5-liter of Ace of Spades. And, you know, Mark Cuban puts his card down. The lady goes to register or goes to the stand. She comes back and she says, sir, this card was declined. He's like, I'm Mark Cuban and that's a black card. You go back and recharge that. And
that's amazing. Oh, that's awesome.
But
man, that's
when you're Mark
great.
Cuban,
I've seen, Vegas. I've seen parties like that. I've seen the teams come in.
I imagine.
After winning championships. LeBron won in Cleveland and he won at Golden State. So they jumped on a jet and immediately flew to Vegas. And that night, my old boss there has a connection to LeBron. We ended up at the club that night, and you wouldn't believe the bottles that went through on that evening. I can't even imagine how many bottles have been gone through since the Knights won in Vegas this year.
Now, I'm going to ask that for you because you were in Vegas for so long and there was no sports teams. And now they have a winning WNBA team, a winning hockey team. They now have the Raiders. They, I believe, might be getting the Oakland A's. That's still up in the air from what I keep hearing. What is it like now?
Happen.
I imagine. I mean, no offense to Oakland, but if you're not going to build them a new stadium because their stadium now is hot garbage and it has been for a long time, then let them go somewhere else. Like, I understand that you won't have a baseball team, but did you really have a baseball team before that? Like, I mean, let's be real. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I moved to Vegas in 2014, and they had, if I remember correctly, they were just about to, there were rumblings of the expansion of the NHL there. And I still remember, it was funny, so they announced, we're getting a team, and that's all well and good. And then Bill Foley was going to do this big announcement of what the team name was. And everybody thought the name was going to be the Neon Knights, which is obviously a play on Knights because of his military background. And then Neon because it's Vegas, plus Neon Knights, if you spell it with an N, sounds like something that would happen in Vegas. The jerseys would have been awesome, blah, 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 forever about that. So I was amped. about the name Neon Nights because I thought